Stan Asimov, the fella I grew up with.
The editor, Stan Asimov, said he knew Eileen.
He said, I'm the little Jewish boy who lived across the street from you, and we grew up together. I could not believe it.
He promised her a job at Newsday.
He said, when you leave, come to the personnel sign and the job is waiting.
So early one morning when no one was looking, Eileen stepped out of the convent with $80 in her pocket and boarded a bus to New York City.
And I was in full, nun regalia. And I got on that bus and I went into, I think it was Grand Central Station, and I went to, I think it was a movie house, and I changed. I took off my nun habit, put on clothes, then I stayed and watched a movie.
Eileen took the job at Newsday. Eventually she went back to teaching. She rented a sparsely furnished apartment and got married and had a daughter. She still goes to church, and when the collection basket comes around, she thinks about what Sister Anna would do.
I don't always like to give in church, as my husband knows, because I gave my life, but what I do is I'll just give a $20 bill to somebody here or there or wherever. And I just think that, faith is a great thing in all religions, and kindness to others, and that's the way I feel in life.
Big thanks to Eileen O'Toole for sharing her story with Snap. You can find out more about Eileen's story and her book at Sister Anna's Feet on our website, snapjudgment.org. Of course, that piece was produced by none other than our own Anna Sussman. Have you ever been in a toxic relationship where the other person just takes and takes and takes and takes and takes? They throw their stuff all over. There's peanut butter on the ironing board. They locked the cat in the microwave. They took all the money out your change drawer. It's not sustainable. It's not healthy, and you definitely don't want to be that person, a taker. And public radio only works because the good people, the people you want to be, aren't takers. Your community investing in this station that we love, one person at a time. That's the only way this works. You hate those takers. So support the public radio station that supports you. What is that number to dial? What is that number to call to let them know that you support the type of programming that only happens right here? What is that number to dial?
And that number to dial once more is 1-800-552-8502. And also with me one last time.
Last hurrah.
Dr. Patrick, I'm glad you're here. I really am glad you're here.
Wally, it's always a pleasure.
And, you're just saying that. But anyway, I think we have a special person to thank, and I'm not sure
we do.
How to mention this?
Brian from Sugarland called in, and he made a donation. He just wanted everyone to know that he was on a limited budget and a tough income situation, and he was still willing to sacrifice and make the donation. And so we just want to say, Brian, thank you so much. I know that you're in the same shoes as a lot of people who are listening to this show, and they've got a tight budget or they've got limited income, and they're thinking, they try to make every penny count. So we just want to say we really appreciate you making Red River Radio a part of your budget and for making the sacrifice for that. So thank you so much. And I know that all the listeners out there, he's paid for hours of music, so thank you so much for bringing that joy to so many people in this area.
And one thing I've been thinking about, Patrick, is the fact that our music programs, whether it be classical music, whether it be my jazz, whether it be Bill Beckett's Caravan on Friday nights, think of all the music that you get and from these programs, how many CDs or MP3s that we have to go through to produce all that?
It's mind-boggling. It's tons. It's thousands.
And so think of how much physically it might be worth to have all those tracks, all those MP3s, all those CDs available, and then we produce it all out to make the show.
That's right.
And get this, we just simply ask whatever you can afford.
That's right. It doesn't need to be big. It just needs to be what you've got.
And so, but think of the disparity between. But we don't have to explain that to you. All we ask is that you can call in 1-800-552-8502 and support what you listen to, and we will accept whatever you can afford.
That's right. If you think one coffee once a week, $5. So if you donate, one of your coffees once a week for a month, you're looking at $20, $25. Something easy, something small. We're not asking for everything. We're not asking for you alone to cover our goals, because that's outrageous. But we're asking as the Red River Radio family and a community of listeners to come together to make sure that this kind of programming and this kind of station can continue to exist in the future, which without you it wouldn't be able to.
So give us a call now, 1-800-552-8502, or you can go online, redriverradio.org. There's another call coming in. And coming up, live music. And I just want to do some FCC stuff here. And you are listening to the voice of the community, Red River Radio, a public radio service of LSUS. This is KDAQ, Shreveport, Bossier City, KLSA, Alexandria, Pineville, KBSA, El Dorado, Camden, Magnolia, KLDN, Lufkin, Nacogdoches, and KTYK, Overton, Tyler, Kilgore. Dr. Patrick Lavo, thank you for being here tonight.
Well, thanks for having me.
And please stick around. I think the live music is going to be great.
Oh, I can't wait.
And so with that, Mr. Troy, take it away.
Good afternoon, Wally. How are you? I'm good. We actually have the benefit of having a performance suite here at Red River Radio, and one of the benefits of having a performance suite is people with fantastic talents to fill it. Tonight we have a special guest in our performance studio. His name is Pipp Gillette. If you haven't heard from Mr. Pipp Gillette before, he plays wonderful music on banjo and guitar, and even a couple of special instruments we'll be talking about later on this evening. Pipp, welcome to the studio. We appreciate your time tonight.
Well, thank you. It's good to be here, and I've always enjoyed being a part of the fund drives. I moved back to East Texas in 1983, and that first year before you all got on the air, it was like a vast wasteland of nothingness, and you hear the local weather and a little bit of the local news, and after that it was all over. So when you guys came on the air, it was really a blessing, believe me.
Well, we get a chance to showcase wonderful music from artists like yourself, and that's one of the benefits that we have here at Red River Radio, is that we actually play more varieties of music than any other radio station in the markets that we're in.
That's for sure.
We get a chance to play jazz with Wally in the evenings. We get a chance to play blues and wonderful music. We had a Zydeco band earlier this week.
We did.
Which was fantastic. And then, of course, yourself tonight. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to give you Mr. Pipp Gillette. Pipp, if you want to play a little something for us, we'd love to hear it.
Sounds good. I thought I would do some tunes off of my newest CD, which is called Pipp Gillette with Lloyd Wright. And Lloyd Wright is a good friend of mine, and we recorded this back in July, and it came out in the fall, so it's a brand new thing for me. And these are some of the songs from it. This is a song written by Waddie Mitchell and myself. Waddie Mitchell is the poet laureate of Nevada. He started the National Cowboy Poetry Gathering in Elko, Nevada, many years ago. I think 35 years ago, maybe it is now. And a great part of the cowboy renaissance of reinterest in cowboy poetry and music. So it's great fun working with him, and an honor. So this is one of the tunes we put together. Out here in the middle, and I'm going to do the wrong song. How about that? That's good.
At your leisure, Pipp. Take it away.
This is called Spring Drive, actually. And, in that part of the world out there in Nevada and in the West, where they drive cattle up into the mountains during the summers, and then they drive them back in the fall back to the lower country where they can keep up with them and they don't get snowed in.
Well, this is our spring drive, too. How apropos.
Absolutely. Hey, it's called Spring Drive. How about it? If I can remember which song that is. Find you a good pace that young calves can sustain. Good feed won't come a-walking to you. There's water and fescue grass waiting up ahead where you'll spend the whole summer through. Keep taking them steps so you'll realize my wrath. My whip has been aching to crack. Mother up, turn around, keep making them tracks, and no, there'll be no turning back. Move up, move on, move steady. The operative word here is move. Wake up, stand up, be ready. We've miles to cover by hoof. Let's go, you bumbling ballers. Rattle them hocks and them horns. Make you some dust and some distance. Walk now in the cool of the morn. Move out without me driving, or is that just too much to ask? Soon you all will be thriving, grazing on belly-high grass. Move up, move on, move steady. The operative word here is move. Wake up, stand up, be ready. We've miles to cover by who. Don't worry about me, you up there in the lead. I'll bring the pairs up from the rear. Count yourselves in and then leave me the tally. Gates open, trail said to be clear. Next year you'd be trained to do this yourself. Just think of the hassle you'd save. Wouldn't be so hard then on me or your calf. All's good now, so you just behave. But do it yourself, there'd be no need for me. It'd be said that I'd had my day. A cowboy and his job would be history. Don't want things a-going that way. Move up, move on, move steady. The operative word here is move. Wake up, stand up, be ready. We've miles to cover by who. Let's go, you lump-jawed canners. Make a swing bag bounce and bob. You ornery some trolls without manners. You've made my life and my job. Move up, move on, move steady. The operative word here is move. Wake up, stand up, be ready. We've miles to cover by who. Move up, move on, move steady. The operative word here is move. Wake up, stand up, be ready. We've miles to cover by hoof. Many miles to cover by hoof.
Wow, wow. That was excellent, Pipp. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you. You got an open mic in there. I can hear you all talking.
Oh, my. I'm sorry. It was a little bit distracting.
Just reminds me of the old barroom days.
No, we appreciate you coming in and being part of the drive this evening. We love the music that you bring to us. You brought a couple of other things behind you. We'll get to those in just a minute. And you've got another set of musical instruments that other people don't necessarily play. Now, tell me a little bit about the album. We mentioned it just a minute ago. The album that you have, the latest album, I suppose.
Yes, right. Well, it's like I say, Lloyd Wright plays multiple instruments. He's one of those triple, quadruple threats. He on the CD, he plays the mountain dulcimer, banjo, fiddle, mandolin, and I believe that's what he does on this one. He couldn't be here with me tonight. We sometimes perform together, fortunately, but anyway, it was great doing the recording with him, and he's a great fellow. He works with his family. He's a very musical family, the Wright family. And he works with his wife. They've put some recordings out as well, April and Lloyd Wright.
Now, you were saying earlier about the dulcimer. You said, is there a festival coming up?
Yes. In fact, his family, his mother and father started a festival, I forget how many years ago now. It takes place in Palestine, Texas. And it's called the Palestine Old Time Music and Dulcimer Festival. And it's going to be on... let's see, it runs from the March 28th to March 30th, and Lloyd and I will be performing actually on the Thursday night, the 28th. We'll be sort of opening the festival. And then during the days, Friday and Saturday, they have all kinds of workshops. And they got some amazing people coming from all over the country. Wayne Henderson, I don't know if you're familiar with him. He's one of the preeminent guitar makers. He's made guitars for Eric Clapton, and he's got a list that goes on and on and on. People hope he lives long enough to fill his list of orders. But Alice Gerard is going to be there, and she very well known in the old-time music world. She was married to Mike Seeger at one time, and wonderful old-time singer and a musician. Howard Raines, Tricia Spencer, Carl Jones, Aaron Marshall. And if you're interested in their festival, their website is oldpalmusic.com. Oldpalmusic.com.
That's O-L-D-P-A-L, pal?
O-L-D-P-A-L music.com, right. 28th through the 30th of March, so that's coming up.
That's going to be right after St. Patrick's Day. You're listening to Red River Radio, the voice of the community right now. I'm in the studio with Wally Derleth. I'm Troy Jones. I'm the engineer, and I'm actually audio engineering tonight, eh, Wally?
That's right, and always good to have a different face on that side of the board. Anyway, sure glad to have you with me tonight, Troy, and Pipp. Thanks again for being here tonight, and I also want to say that we are offering at the $50 donation level Pipp's new CD, and he referenced it just a moment ago. Pipp Gillette with Lloyd Wright, and I trust, Pipp, that you'll probably be playing several tracks from this tonight, right?
Yes, that first thing I did, Spring Drive, which I didn't even think about how appropriate that was. Yeah, I thought I'd do, basically start off here anyway with the album.
Well, good. And again, that's at the $50 donation level, and you can get your copy of this release, and Pipp, I'm sure that whatever you want to play next, that's good for us.
Good deal. Well, this is tune. Dogs were a big part of people's lives, and they still are, particularly if you're working cattle. You can't work cattle in our part of the world without some good stock dogs because of the timber and the thickets that we have, and but they used to use them, and folks, of course, still do, use them for hunting hogs, and but they used to use them for hunting everything, hunting deer, and, of course, raccoons and possums, and they were very, very useful animals and still are, and this is a tune that kind of fits into that, I thought. Had a dog and his name was Blue. Had a dog and his name was Blue. Had a dog and his name was Blue. Bet you $5 he's a good one too. He Blue, you good dog, you. Shoulder my rifle, blew my horn. Gonna find a possum in the new grown cone. Old blue bog I went to see, calling a possum up in a tree. You good dog, you. Old blue seed all big and round, never let a possum touch the ground. Old blue bog I went to see, calling a possum up in a tree. You know old blue's a good old dog, treat a possum in a hollow log. He Blue, you good dog, you. Old Blue died and I dug his grave, dug his grave with a silver spade, lowered him down with a golden chain, every link I did call his name. Oh, Blue, you old rascal you. Blue laid down and died like a man. Now it's tree and possum in the promised land. I'm gonna tell you just to let you know, old Blue's gone where the good dogs go. If I get to heaven, here's what I'm gonna do. Grab my horn and blow for Blue. He Blue, you good dog, you. He
Wow, that was amazing. That was amazing. Now, what was the inspiration behind that song?
Well, that's a very old traditional song. I don't know the real history of it, but it's been recorded certainly by a number of people over the years, and I couldn't really tell you more about it, sadly.
And it's just called Old Blue.
Mm-hmm.
I think everybody can relate to that. Well, you're listening to Red River Radio. We actually have the honor and privilege of having Mr. Pipp Gillette in our performance studio tonight. My name is Troy Jones. I'm the chief engineer here, and we're in our spring pledge drive, which means it has an opportunity for you to join us tonight on the air with us. You can join us, of course, by watching on our YouTube page. You can also join us anytime by listening on our stream, or you can join us right now by helping us end this pledge drive early by donating how much, Wally?
Well, $50 will get you Pipp Gillette's new release with Lloyd Wright, and he referenced it a couple of moments ago. And again, there's a good list here of great tracks. He's already played a track from that Spring Drive that he opened with that, and hey, we sure would like to hear from you, and that's just a suggested amount, $50. But whatever amount is good, is affordable to you, is what we would like for you to do right now. And you can use a major credit card. We take all the major ones. Call now, 1-800-552-8502, and to help keep all the programming, including live music. You're not going to get live music anywhere else in the radio dial. Give us a call now, 1-800-552-8502.
You know, Wally, one of the things that we have the benefit for is that we actually get sponsors and underwriters to provide lunch and catering for our meals tonight. And I wanted to bring that up. You know, how much did you actually spend on lunch today? If it was a sandwich or a soda, a bag of chips, maybe you spent $7-8 and now it's all gone. Well, consider what if you just spent $1 a week on Red River Radio. You'll get Morning Edition, Wait, Wait, Don't Tell Me, jazz and classical music like Pipp Gillette live in the studio. You get all those local and regional news programs, too, and the list just goes on and on and on. It's the programming that you love anytime, and you can support it right now. That $1 a week, it's only $52. If the $1 a week, it gets you incredible bargains for all that you hear on Red River Radio, and you also get a copy of Pipp Gillette's album. Really easy to do.
And that's right, and maybe another, maybe a little tad higher amount. An hour of Morning Edition costs about $80 to bring that program to you, and our All Things Considered coffee mug is available at the $80 contribution. And so, again, you have a choice. You can make that $80 donation. You're covering an hour of Morning Edition, and you have a choice between Pipp's album or an All Things Considered coffee mug. Call us now.
It's 1 minute. You get a chance to pull over and take a time out to do that today, and you get to support Red River Radio. It first went in the air in December of 1984, as Pipp was talking about earlier, and that means that later this year we'll have our 35th anniversary. Does that feel right? I don't know. It's kind of
makes you feel older.
Well, I experienced, right? What do they say? You're not old. You're just conditioned, right?
Yeah, right.
So before that time, this was is the largest region of the United States without public radio, and thanks to you, we can cover one of the largest geographical areas of any public radio network. You know, Wally, when I actually looked at the map of our stations that we cover, El Dorado, Alexandria, Lufkin, Tyler, Nacogdoches, now we have Tyler Kilgore. We also have the Grambling Translator, and of course Morning Sport with KDAQ. We actually cover around 2.2 million people. That's a fantastic coverage area for what you guys get, and the communities that we serve are just priceless.
And think of this. You just mentioned 2.2 million people. What if just every one of those 2.2 million just gave us $1 or maybe $2?
You know, it's Pi Day. They should give us $3.14.
That's right. Absolutely. Absolutely. Hey, give us a call now, 1-800-552-8502. You can also go online if you wish, redriverradio.org. But, hey, we have phone volunteers waiting to take your call. So call us now. And we want to hear the phones ring, and that's immediate feedback to us that, hey, you're listening to us and you're tuned in.
Or you're watching on our YouTube stream, or perhaps checking us out on our Facebook feed. We do that too. Or our audio stream right now. Anytime, day or night, at redriverradio.org. You can make a donation and listen right there. Now, Mr. Pipp Gillette is in studio right now. He's actually playing songs off of his album, Pipp Gillette with Lloyd Wright. It's his latest album. You can pick that up tonight for a $50 pledge or more. And there's one on the album, Pipp, that I really want to. I'm excited to hear because of its title alone. But instead, I'm going to throw it over to you and see what you're going to play for us next.
Well, I thought I'd do another song that Waddie Mitchell wrote. We put together, and it's called Ghost Cow.
That's the one. That's the one.
Okay. A good story is always welcome. Urban legends still abound. Mostly kids believe them, but they sure do get around. Rarer yet are rangeland legends. I remember only one. Ghost cows that gather cowboys, and I gather some. Just what happens to them's unknown, but they're never seen again. And as close as I remember, that brings the tale to its end. I would give no creed to legends. They were stories, nothing more. That is until one early spring when I stood at Satan's door. Its eyes were green and hollow, loose hide hung from its bones, saying, "Come and follow me, I will lead you home. Home where there's no conflict, free of pain and strife. Follow me a wee bit more, I'll help you pass this life." I was hunting the last remnants from the Bruno Canyon's walls. Had a handful bunched and started, and with these that made 'em all. From behind I heard a strange bawl, turned to see what seemed a cow. Obviously not of this range, on the trail and headed down. I trotted back to turn it. All I see is there it goes. It's on narrow trails on rocky slopes, steep as Lincoln's nose. Through the shale slides and rock ledges, she'd stay in front of me, forcing me to trail behind, following reluctantly. Its mouth hints bulge of canines, its horns are sharp and black, saying, "Come and follow me, you'll not be wanting back. Back to your burden hauling, back to backlog of chores. Trust and concede, you'll long for peace no more." My cowdog wouldn't help me, and he's not the quitting kind. It would beat me past my chances, then slow when I fell behind. Ever downward it enticed me, till we reached the canyon's floor. Rivers rolling truck-sized boulders, dulling wits under its roar. That cow brute turned to face me, whispered it knew all my thoughts, and that I would find a paradise and receive all I sought. I was falling into its charms, shuck-barked incessantly. Not at what that thing was, he was screaming pleads at me. It leads its prey with rhetoric, then toys with cowboys' fates. leading always onward with its warning, don't be late. Late for the dream before you, late for long-needed rest. My way is the way, my way you'll find is best. 'Twas my cowdog Shuck that saved me, he startled me awake. We turned and started making steps, quick as my horse could take. I found the cattle I had found, we'd climbed up to the gate. I wondered whatever happened if old Shuck had been too late. I'm not sure what that thing was, but I can tell you this. There was something led me somehow to the threshold of abyss. Just another rangeland legend to amuse and entertain. But you best beware of ghost cows, you'll pay mind if you've a brain. It glows in the dark shadows, songs lull you into trance, saying come and follow me and take the chance. Chance it might be better, chance it's right for you. I will drive you off your range, then I will gather you. I will drive you off your range, then I will gather you.
Wow, a sharp-toothed, black-horned ghost cow from Pipp Gillette and his latest album with Lloyd Wright. You collaborated with a fantastic artist on that one, Waddie Mitchell. That is Ghost Cow. You just heard that probably for the first time right here on Red River Radio with Mr. Pipp Gillette in our performance studio tonight. We are live broadcasting from our studios right here in Shreveport, Louisiana. We're having a great time in our spring pledge drive and looking forward to hearing more from Mr. Pipp Gillette tonight. Wally, you know, I was late coming in for the Zydeco band earlier this week. Guess what I was doing? It could be anything, really.
Yeah, it could be anything.
Well,
So,
it was
tell me.
that I took the kids to the movies.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I went with my 3 children, and I had to take out a small mortgage before I went.
let me just guess. You saw about training a dragon?
No, I saw the Captain Marvel movie.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So, $350 later. No,
Yeah,
with popcorn and everything. They have a bar, by the way, at Tinseltown now. Anyway, they do. They have a full-service bar. It's crazy. I wonder why.
That's scary.
Anyway, so you pay your $20-$30 for you and the family to get in. Then it costs another $10 for the popcorn and the candy, and then all of a sudden 2 hours later the show's over and you've spent a small fortune. You could have sent them to college or paid for their braces, Wally, but no, that's not what happened. I spent under almost $100, and all of a sudden all you've got is bad memories from a movie, and you're waiting for the last of the credits to roll to find the last part of this, the movie, and you miss all that. Meanwhile, you could have spent money with Red River Radio, and that's just $1 a week membership pledge. You could have done that and actually done your $52 membership for Red River Radio, something you can listen to and value each and every day of the year. It's not just 2 hours.
Oh. Yeah,
are you
right.
lamenting? You're lamenting my poor financial choices there, Wally?
No, I'm just thinking when you put it that way, it just makes sense to.
It makes dollars and cents.
Well, yeah, but it makes more sense to support Red River Radio because again, you're not tied to a specific amount like you have to pay for tickets and all that stuff for a movie.
No.
We continue to say whatever you can afford is good for us.
That's right.
And so instead of paying all that money to a movie, you could have spent whatever you could afford to Red River Radio instead.
Well, and how much does Performance Today cost, Wally?
I guess. Well, it says we have it figured out to $180 can pay for 2 weeks of Performance Today, and so I don't know, 10 days. Divided by $18 a day.
There you go.
$18 a day.
Or you could spend money and get for 2 hours of Morning Edition.
Right.
You could go on instead of spending. You spend more than that on your cable or internet or satellite stuff, right?
Yep, pretty much.
So how, if they felt it upon themselves right now to help support local live music that doesn't just have 2 hours and then a bad finish like a movie, or the popcorn that or the extra butter or the calories. Instead of that, if they wanted to provide local content and great, fantastic music every day of the year, how can they do that?
By just calling 1-800-552-8502, and a phone volunteer can walk you through the process. Won't take any time at all, maybe a minute, 2 minutes tops, and you're done. And you feel good about supporting something that you tune into every day.
Yeah, you get the value out of it. It definitely pays you back when you invest in your donation to Red River Radio. One of the best things that we do here, and it always gets me so excited, because in radio you rarely hear live music. We actually have Pipp Gillette in our performance studio this evening. And Pipp, now you have this latest album. How long have you actually been playing music?
Well, how long ago was 1965?
Oh my!
Oh, that's
okay.
that's way too much for me to add right now.
So, how did you start? How did you?
Oh, pretty much. I was very interested in music. My parents gave my brother and I a great background in roots music, and it was, of course, the 50s, mid 50s there when they were buying records. This was a part of the big folk revival. Folkways Records was very active, and we were listening to Cisco Houston and Hermes Nye and Jack Elliott and all these great people. And then they had Irish stuff and they had blues stuff, and they had, just like I said, a real great, wonderful grounding in roots music. They also played things like Broadway shows and classical music as well. But those four guys from Liverpool got on Ed Sullivan one night, and I said, that looks like a good job.
Yeah.
So my father was a professional photographer, and he took some photographs off the television of the Beatles' appearance on Ed Sullivan, which they're rather grainy, but you can do it. And so I took these little 5x7 prints to junior high school and sold them for 50 cents a
Wow.
And this was before there was anything out there,
Sure.
The flood hadn't happened yet. So I made, it was $50, and I bought my first snare drum. So there you go. Huh?
So
Wow.
what would you consider your influences to be?
Oh, everything. But like I said, we kind of went full circle, because we started out at home playing a lot of these cowboy songs, and then we got into various, of course, when we started the bands, in those periods, we were so young, none of us could sing, so we just did the ventures and lots of instrumental things, and it just evolved and on and on. And one of the great influences was we used to go to these the small clubs in coffee houses in Greenwich Village in the 60s, and I was, say, 15 years old in 65, and I could go in this, like the Cafe A-Go-Go or the Bitter End or the Gaslight, and see Muddy Waters band, full band,
Wow.
in a room no bigger than the room I'm in right now. And you're right there, and there's Muddy Waters, and there's James Cotton, and there's Otis Spann, and there they all are, and it was just extraordinary experience. And then they'd have, we saw Richie Havens in that same setting, and Tim Hardin, and Richard Pryor was there a lot. We used to see him. I saw the Grateful Dead in a room like that. Sonny Terry and Brownie McGee. It just went on, and it was so exciting and so inspiring. And so that was what got Guy and I interested in opening the Camp Street Cafe, which is what we have in Crockett, Texas.
Now, how big a venue is that?
Well, we seat about 120, and if we're really using a shoehorn, but sadly that's not often a problem.
Well, no, but it's an intimate space. It's
Yes,
something where you can actually enjoy the music where you are.
Absolutely, and it was what, like I say, that those rooms, sadly, as the folk thing started being overtaken by, when Dylan went electric and everything, that was sort of the kibosh on the roots of the acoustic music, and everybody was playing more electric. And so by the end of the 60s, you had places like the Fillmore East, the Fillmore West, and then he opened one in New York called the Fillmore East. And these are these big old theaters with the light shows, and this, and the band is way down there. And by today's standards, I suppose by arena standards, they were pretty intimate, but they weren't like sitting in the room, 100-seat room with those people. And so we thought if we could recreate that atmosphere over there at Camp Street, that would be really inspiring and exciting, because it was definitely one of the more inspiring periods for us.
Now, paint directions of where the Camp Street Cafe actually is located.
Camp Street Cafe is in Crockett, Texas, which is the county seat of Houston County, which is the first incorporated county in the Republic of Texas. It was incorporated in 1837. David Crockett was traveling on El Camino Real de los Tejas, which is the oldest road in Texas, which went from Natchitoches, Louisiana, through Nacogdoches, Texas, through Crockett, and then on to San Antonio and into Old Mexico. Crockett was traveling on that road. He had been treated royally over there in Nacogdoches. They were having all kinds of festivities, and he was a living legend. And then he went off towards San Antonio and camped in what became Crockett. He met an old friend of his from Tennessee, if you can believe it, named Elijah Gossett, who was already settled there. And they visited, and he went on, and after the Revolution, the Gossett family gave the community the land, and they named it after their old friend David Crockett, and it became the county seat of Houston County, again, the first county in the Republic of Texas. And Camp Street was kind of what Beale Street is to Memphis, a smaller scale, but it was the black business district. And there was all sorts of activity on the street. Lightnin' Hopkins used to he was born 33 miles west of Crockett in Centerville, Texas, and this was some of the early stomping grounds for Lightnin' Hopkins. He'd come over there and play on Camp Street, because the unusual thing about Camp Street was that they had a kind of an interesting relationship with the sheriff's department, because they
you have my attention.
They had a lot of bootlegging and a lot of gambling, and of course this was, Crockett was right in the heart of cotton country. One of the biggest, I've been told by multiple people that the biggest cotton plantation in the world was the Murray Farm, which is in Houston County, right there near the Trinity River. And so there was about 5 or 6 gins in Crockett, so cotton was definitely king, and so on these weekends, Saturdays, my God, people came to town, and Lightnin' Hopkins was delighted to sit there and play on the street, and he used to come in and play in the building, which is now the Camp Street Cafe, when it was the Starlight Barbershop, Pool Hall, Taxi Stand, and Cafe. And they had a dice table in the back, and they had they had a dry cleaners on the street where you could actually get a bottle of your adult beverage. So it wasn't such a dry cleaner, actually. It was
a wet cleaner.
A wet cleaner. Yeah. But anyway, so it was, there's a statue. We all got together, the community, and raised money, and have a statue of Lightnin' Hopkins sitting there on Camp Street, right opposite the Camp Street Cafe. And he's sitting there playing guitar and smoking a cigar. And when it was dedicated, which was back in, well, I'm not even sure now, but his family came up, his daughter unveiled it, and there was his daughter, grandchildren, great-grandchildren, and one great-grandchild. They all came to the dedication and unveiled the statue of her father, and that was great fun. And so we've tried to keep that tradition going. We've had some amazing shows there. Ramblin' Jack Elliott played there, Charlie Louvin played there, Kinky Friedman played there, Texas Johnny Brown played there. Texas Johnny Brown used to play, there was a nightclub several blocks from where the Camp Street Cafe is, called the Paradise Inn, and it was a part of what they used to refer to as the Chitlin Circuit. And
That's right.
Of course, the location of Crockett is just right between Houston and Dallas, so it was a perfect stopping off point, and there was always a large African-American population there. And so everybody who was playing and touring in those days played through Crockett. I mean, Gatemouth Brown, B.B. King, Big Mama Thornton, Amos Milburn, just everybody did. And Texas Johnny Brown came and played at the Paradise with Amos Milburn's band, and then he played at Camp Street about 3 or 4 times with his own band. And one night we were unloading his equipment, and he looked up at the place and said, this is the place we came after we finished the show at the Paradise. And that made perfect sense, because the same guy managed both places. Tom Randolph ran the Paradise Inn, and he also was running the Starlight Barbershop, Pool Hall, Cafe, Taxi Stand. So he was, anyway, it's a lot of fun, a lot of great history, a lot of amazing things. There's a great mural up on Camp Street of Gatemouth Brown, Frankie Lee Sims, Lightnin', Blind Lemon Jefferson, Big Mama Thornton, Texas Johnny Brown and T-Bone Walker are all on this mural because these people all came through and played in Crockett.
That's amazing. You're listening to Red River Radio, your voice of the community. You're listening to us live right now in our studios in Shreveport, Louisiana. My name is Troy Jones. I'm the engineer. I'm the audio engineer for this evening. I'm on the air along with Wally Derleth. You recognize him from Evening Jazz. And we have in studio all the way from Houston County on El Camino Real. We actually have in studio right now a gentleman who plays at a fantastic venue that was on the Chitlin Circuit. No joke. The movie The Green Book. The whole movie The Green Book is about that Chitlin Circuit. We have in studio right now the gentleman that plays at the cafe right there on Crockett, in Crockett Street? No.
Crockett
Cafe.
Camp
No,
Street.
Camp Street Cafe.
Right. And
In Crockett.
is the town.
Crockett, Texas.
Right.
Mr. Pipp Gillette, he is in studio with us, and he's going to grace us with another song from his new album, Pipp Gillette with Lloyd Wright. He has another one to play for us tonight.
This one was written by Robert Burns in 17-something, and there was a story about a pioneer rancher in Montana named Granville Stewart, who had a bunch of cowboys. They enforced the law from cattle theft and horse theft, and they were known as Stewart Stranglers. They caught this fellow stealing cattle, and they found out he played the fiddle. So they had a dance that night, and he played, those dances used to last all night long, and they had him play the fiddle for it, and then in the morning they hung him. And this song I thought was kind of appropriate. This is about a fellow who was also accused of cattle theft. And again, this is Robert Burns. Farewell, ye dungeon, dark and strong. Farewell, farewell to thee. Macpherson's life will no be long on yonder gallows tree. Say randomly, say wantonly, and say dauntingly dee. He played a tune and he danced around below the gallows tree. There's some come here for to see me hung, and some to buy my fiddle. But before that I do part with her, I'll break her through the middle. He took his fiddle in both of his hands, and he broke it o'er a stone, saying there's no other hand shall play on thee when I am dead and gone. Say randomly, say wantonly, and say dauntingly did he. He played a tune and he danced around below the gallows tree. Reprieve was coming now, the brig of Banff, to set Macpherson free. But they put the clock a quarter before, and they hanged him from a tree. Say randomly, say wantonly, and say dauntingly did he. He played a tune and he danced around below the gallows tree.
All the way from 1788, the lyrics for Macpherson's Lament, played for you tonight by Pipp Gillette in studio live. Pip, I love the way that you, I don't know how you say the accent that you kind of rolled some of the words with. That's amazing. I mean, obviously you've heard this, or at least you've put your your expertise on that one?
My Scottish.
You did some roles there. I like
coming out. Well, I don't know. Some of that, it's not really intentional. I get always the feeling it's the lyrics themselves.
They lend to it.
Yes, they kind of almost make you have a slight accent.
Yeah, I mean, I actually forgot what I was doing for a moment just listening to you here. It was very interesting listening to Robert Burns' lyrics about a hanged man not allowing his fiddle to be played by anybody else but him. That's amazing. You're listening right now to Red River Radio, the voice of the community. Of course, we have Pipp Gillette in our studios tonight. We are in the middle of our spring pledge drive, which helps bring things like this, live music, to you. Of course, if you donate tonight, if you make a contribution, if you support Red River Radio in the amount of $50 or more, you will garner Pipp Gillette's album, some of these songs that are on that album. Pipp Gillette with Lloyd Wright, his latest album that he has out right now. And there are several others that we're going to get to in just a few. Now, Wally, how long have you been doing radio?
Well, I began in radio on campus at University of Wisconsin-Eau Claire, and that was for about a couple of years, and then I left Eau Claire, and then I got hired here back in 1999, and so
I played at Eau Claire University.
Did you?
Small world.
In the 70s.
That's when I was there.
About 75.
That's when I was there.
We did a whole series of Wisconsin state colleges.
Sure.
Eau Claire and, oh gosh, I can't think of all of them, but that was definitely one of them.
Did you perform at the what they call the Student Center back then?
Yeah, that's where they would have had their coffee house, I guess.
Yep. Yeah, I was
Small
in the
world, right?
I was in the audience.
Yeah, it would have been my brother and I. Yeah.
Wow.
Well, at the beginning of radio broadcasting, Wally, stations used to play a wide variety of stuff, just like this. Different programming for a wide variety of different audiences, a true broadcast. And over the years, the wide variety dwindled down to only a few formats. You know the ones where they were focused on one thing, and that they were only, mono casting. They were only casting to one group of people. But Red River Radio is a little bit different, as you can tell. We're here to provide the full picture of all the culture and the creations that come from it. And you know how rich our culture and climate are here. We actually put that on the air for you, from jazz, like you well know, to classic folk, blues, retrospectives, a wide variety of other music. I was joking with Pipp earlier when I was looking at his album cover. He wears a cowboy hat, he plays a banjo, and he has a bow tie on. And that alone is an image of who Pipp is. He has that folk sound. He has the ability to do all those things and have that mix of culture and society that we want to put on the air here. Red River Radio reflects that diversity of human mosaic and the American past. We actually do that as one of the things that makes the value to the community like ours with such rich diversity of people. It's an asset that's hard to imagine what we do without it, wouldn't you say?
I would say, and again, if you appreciate what Red River Radio brings to you, call us now, 1-800-552-8502. Hey, and if you've made your first pledge last year, it's about this time for you to renew right now, and again, you and everyone else listening, you all do the heavy lifting for Red River Radio. We can't do this without you, and that's why your contribution is so important to us. Make that contribution now, and especially renew your membership to Red River Radio right now as well. And again, that number, 1-800-552-8502, or you can go online, redriverradio.org. And just a reminder, we have all these thank you items available at many different donation levels. Why not pick up Pipp Gillette's latest release for a $50 donation right now, and you can use a major credit card at minimum of $50, maybe more. If you want to donate more to Red River Radio, we appreciate that too. Call now, 1-800 552-8502.
You know, we were talking earlier, Wally, it's National Pie Day. I didn't get a chance to get out and get a pie. But if you want to make a donation of $3.14 a day, that's not too shabby. $31.40 is easy. Or if you want to do $314 and just get it out of the way for the rest of the year, we can do monthly installments that way, too. It's really easy to do. The phone number, again, 1-800-552-8502. Or my favorite way to tell people to go donate is online at redriverradio.org, because you can click on the button. You don't have to talk to anybody. That way, in case you're, embarrassed or you got kids running around in the back, if you're hearing something else while you're trying to listen to us, no big deal. You can just make that donation right there as you continue to watch and or listen Pipp Gillette live in the studio tonight. Pip, with that, I'm going to send it back over to you and ask if you have any other items that you would like to play for us off this album.
I do have an item or two. This is another song that Waddie Mitchell wrote with me. He grew up outside a little town called Jiggs, Nevada, which is outside of Elko, Nevada, but he actually lived outside of Jiggs, Nevada, very much off the grid, way off in an amazing isolated ranch, and he used to go to the one-room school they had in Jiggs. They have a bar in Jiggs, they've got the one-room school, they have a community center, they have a volunteer fire department, and that's Jiggs. And back in the 60s, Volkswagen Automobile Company had an ad for the Volkswagen buses, and they had a photograph taken there in Jiggs, and it said the entire population of Jiggs, Nevada can fit in one of our Volkswagen buses. Right. And Waddie said they actually had to import a couple of kids because just to make it look better, because it just didn't look like it was enough. But they would have these dances that would last all night long in those days, and the women would bring picnic basket, and they would auction them off at midnight, and everybody would have a midnight dinner, and you got to eat the basket, whoever made the baskets, the food in the basket, you got to eat that with her. So if you had a particular girl in mind, you'd try to sneak around and figure out which basket she had made so you could bid on that. He said sometimes that didn't work out, and he ended up getting a basket one of the older women had made, but he said that worked out pretty well, too, because they could actually cook.
Yeah, there you go.
So this is a song that about that. Brand new white wall haircut, brand new store-bought shirt, brand new Levi dungarees, boots scraped and free of dirt. Brushed my teeth and mustache, topped the fuel tank full, headed for the big dance to see my favorite girl. We're reeling, jigging, two-step bar, Sylvian and waltz. I'll buy the basket that she brought at midnight when they pause. I'll whirl and twirl that pretty girl, we'll trip and rip and sway, slide and glide together as the hours slip away. Jitterbug and polka around the big barn floor, till 'twas time for breakfast, 'cause the night could take no more. We reelin', jiggin', two-step bar, Sylvian and waltz. I'll buy the basket that she brought at midnight when they pause. I sure like these dances, a drink or two with pals, midnight supper auction, I'm fond of that gal. She sure is fun to dance with, don't feel a pound of weight, and she, unlike some other girls, will run to get the gates. We're reelin', jiggin', two-step bar, Sylvian and waltz. I'll buy the basket that she brought at midnight when they pause. I'll whirl and twirl that pretty girl, we'll trip and rip and sway, spun and run together as the hours slip away. Jitterbug and polka around the big barn floor, till 'twas time for breakfast, 'cause the night could take no more. We reeled and jigged in two-step bar, Sylvian and waltz. I bought the basket that she brought at midnight when they paused. Jitterbug and polka around the big barn floor, until 'twas time for breakfast, 'cause the night could take no more.
That's Pipp Gillette off of his latest album, You can pick that up right now for a small donation. You're listening to Red River Radio, of course, online at redriverradio.org or on any of our stations, whether you're listening in El Dorado or Alexandria. If you're listening to KDAQ in here in Shreveport-Bossier, you're listening to Pipp Gillette with Lloyd Wright. That's off of his album. Now, the name of that one, Pip, is Barn Dance, right?
Yes, it is.
And you can pick that album up, the entirety of the album up, for a donation of $50 or more right now by calling 1-800-552-8502.
Paints a good picture, doesn't it?
It does. You know what I was actually thinking of? I know I've been out a couple of times with some young ladies before I was married, and I was thinking about breakfast. And that was what I was looking forward to at that time. And I've definitely been there. Believe it or not, my great-grandfather's fiddle I have hanging in my living room. That fiddle was the fiddle that he was kicked out of the church for. He actually played little barn music, and the church was verboten against that. Right. And it was up in the Appalachian Mountains that they sure as heck kicked him out of the church for that. And he took that fiddle and kept playing it and carved his initials in the case. So he went on tour outside that city and kept playing that fiddle. And I was thinking about him just a minute ago. So thank you very much for you're such a great storyteller, Pip.
Well, thank you. I did once perform at the International Storytelling Festival in Jonesboro, Tennessee, which is quite an event. It's amazing. It's the biggest storytelling event in the world, I guess. It's just incredible. Jonesboro, Tennessee is the oldest town in Tennessee, and it's just incredible history, and it's an amazing festival. That takes place, it's in the fall. I can't think of what month it takes place, but that's quite a deal.
Do you like listening to the stories?
Yeah, sure. It's amazing, and it's just great fun. And they have some storytellers from all different cultures and different parts of the world, and it's really fun.
Now, you've brought a couple of other instruments. We're going to get to those tonight. I do want to hint to those in just a moment, that you will probably hear an instrument on Red River Radio in just a few minutes that you probably haven't heard, at least... Wally, I don't think they're on any of your albums. I'm not going to tell you what it is.
No, I probably not.
It's now, of course, he has a couple of banjos. I'm going to give that away. He has a couple of banjos behind him. That's not what I'm talking about. He has an instrument that you probably haven't heard of, or at least heard played on any of the albums we have here, which is very unique. Mm-hmm. And I can't wait to let you.
Well,
guys
I can't wait because you definitely have my interest peaked right now. So, yeah, I'd like to. I can't wait to hear it.
I want to remind you that if you're listening right now, you're listening to us at redriverradio.com. You're listening on the stream. You're listening in your car. You're listening at home, perhaps on your smart speaker, your Android device, your iTunes. We actually have a stream right now going on our YouTube page. It's Red River Radio Online. You can watch that. And we're actually on our Facebook as well. You can watch Pipp Gillette play some of these fantastic tunes and tell his stories. Pip, do you have another one for us?
Yeah, I do. This one's off the album, and I've always thought it was a great song. And it's not written by Waddie Mitchell. It is written by Joni Mitchell. So I have to do songs by someone named Mitchell. That's part of the deal. And I woke up today and found frost perched on the ground. It hovered in a frozen sky and gobbled summer down. When the sun turns traitor cold, shivering trees are standing in the naked road. I get the urge for going, but I never seem to go. And I get the urge for going when the meadow grass is turning brown. Summertime is falling down. Winter's closing in, and I had a girl in summertime with summer-colored skin. Not another man in town my darling's heart could win. When the leaves fall to the ground, bully winds did rub their faces in the snow. She got the urge for going, and I had to let her go. And she gets the urge for going when the meadow grass is turning brown. Summertime is falling down, winter is closing in. The warriors of winter give a cold, triumphant shove. All that stays is dying. All that lives is getting numb. See the geese in chevron flight, laughing and racing on before the snow. They get the urge for going, and they got the wings to go. And they get the urge for going when the meadow grass is turning brown. Summertime is falling down, winter's closing in. Apply the fire with kindling, pull the blankets to my chin. I'll lock the vagrant winter out and bolt my wandering in. I'd like to call back summertime, have a stay for just another month or so. She got the urge for going, guess she had to go. And I get the urge for going when the meadow grass is turning brown. Summertime is falling down, winter's closing in. And I get the urge for going.
Wow. Okay, so I just want to be honest right now. I'm a young man, and I totally got enthralled just a second ago. And you were talking about the winter weather, and that pulling that blanket up to your chin, and the air conditioning kicked on in here, just so you know, and so it actually dropped a few degrees while you were singing that song, Pip. So as you were talking about the winter weather and the grass dying off, it actually dropped a few degrees in the studio, and I'm like, what kind of magic did this guy bring to the studios here at Red River Radio? You're listening to Pipp Gillette live in our performance studio right now. You're listening to Red River Radio. We're in the middle of our spring pledge drive, even though it didn't feel like it yesterday. We have to try and figure out what Mother Nature wants to do. Wally, I was joking with Bill. He's been out ill for a couple of days now, and by the way, Bill Beckett said to tell you hello, Pip.
Well, good. Hi, Bill, if you're listening. sorry you're not here. I hope you feel better.
It's okay. He can actually watch you live on our feed here on YouTube. But I was talking to Bill, and I said, interestingly enough about the winter weather, it keeps acting like winter keeps storming out of the room and then storming back in and says, and another thing, every time we turn around. You're listening to Red River Radio right now. You're enjoying the music of Pipp Gillette. You're enjoying folk music, live and local, right now in our performance studio. It's a fantastic opportunity for you to discover more public radio. You can discover music, thought-provoking news with Chuck Smith in the mornings. Of course, we have BBC News and other things. Also entertaining and informational programming. I dare say we have more informational programming than any other station that you may come across. It's something that brings value to your daily life every day. We find that most listeners, rarely switch channels, and if they do, that's briefly, and then they're right back here to Red River Radio. You can actually get our weather right now scrolling across your radio dial. We actually do the text of the weather now on our station as well. And if you're listening right now, you may value jazz, or you may value news, or you may value something that you can't get on any other station in our area. All you have to do is help keep bringing that to you. That's all we're asking is a little handshake and a little help from you. As we say, I guess, there's a great song about it, a little help from our friends. And that's what we're looking for here for the Pledge Drive. You can make your donation. A donation of $50 or more will grab you. We'll make sure you get a copy of Pipp Gillette's album. Right now we have it. We have a couple of copies for you, and it's Pipp Gillette with Lloyd Wright. You can pick up that album right now for a $50 donation or more, all by calling 1-800-552-8502, or you can always make your donation online at redriverradio.org.
So, Troy, how expensive do you think it is to operate Red River Radio?
Well, interestingly enough, Wally, I know that number.
And what is that number? Do tell.
We actually have, it's about $1,000. It's $1,018 an hour, something like that. Which is around $1 million a year. And, of course, we're not talking about, $1 million that go in our pockets, right? Well, I know you would want that for your CD collection for jazz on eBay. I've seen you shopping. But, no, that's not where the $1 million goes.
No, it goes to a number of different things, and especially electricity, and especially I've seen you and Kermit here in the wee hours of the morning when I think I'm going to be the only one here, and both of you are complaining about something's not working right at one of the
burning
transmitters.
That midnight oil, yes.
And so not only is it electricity, but it's also some very intricate equipment that is required to run at every transmitter that we have.
Yeah, they don't sell this stuff on Amazon. They don't sell this stuff at Walmart. We can't just run down the street and grab some parts sometimes. And so, yes, some of the things that we do are very custom, very particular broadcast quality parts. And that's part of our attempt to bring quality product to you every day. Of course, we have thousands of listeners, and if they all chip in and do their part, they can actually keep things quite affordable, actually. I'll give you a great example, Wally. One of the parts for one of our transmitters right now is being serviced as a backup.
Sure.
Give you an idea. Just one part, just one, right?
Okay.
$1,700. Just one part. One part to do one thing. Yeah. It's
well, and is that one part?
That's one part for one transmitter in one city.
So, but does that part exist at other transmitter sites too?
Yes.
So basically, 1,700 times 5.
Yeah, 6.
6.
Don't forget that Grambling translator.
6.
Yes.
1,700 times 6.
Yeah, that's it.
Oh man. Yeah. And so what I'm trying
that's for repair, not replace.
What I'm trying to get at to everyone listening right now is the fact that there's a lot of money that goes into providing you what you hear on Red River Radio. And so we need for you to call in right now and support Red River Radio, because it's not just the programming, it's about all the other stuff in the background that makes it possible for us to bring you the news, to bring you this live music tonight. It's costing a number of dollars to get that done. That's why we need for you to call in right now, 1-800-552-8502.
Let me talk tech for just a second. And I know normally I don't geek out like this on the air. But let me just talk tech for a second.
Oh, but I'm a geek too.
Just to give you an idea, from the time that our mouths speak and the airwaves get modulated into the microphone diaphragm and go down the string of cords into the board and then go to the back rack room here at our studios in Shreveport, then it goes up to outside to a satellite dish right here in front of LSU's campus. We have a satellite dish that goes up to space, right? And then it comes back down to satellite receivers at each one of our sites because they're too far away to see them normally, traditionally, the way we do. So it goes up to space and then back down, and then it goes inside that building to a receiver, into the transmitter. The transmitter then puts it back up into an antenna. It goes blasting out through the air to your car's antenna. The car antenna gets it. It goes to your receiver in the center of your car, and then it makes the speakers move in your car in about an eighth of a second.
That's exhausting.
Right?
That's too much for me to think about. Right?
And we do that every day, 366 days a year, 24/8. You know, and to be quite honest, now that I'm on board and part of the staff, I've never felt more at home. But at the same time, I'm glad that I get to spend time at home. And that's because we have people out there like you that donate and support Red River Radio. If you've ever worked on anything electronic, if you've ever worked on anything with your kids, you know exactly how expensive some of this stuff can be, especially broadcasting and music. We actually have a performance studio here that we also keep up with microphones and everything else. So if you've ever played music live, if you've ever had equipment that you had that went down, you know what it's like to replace or repair that equipment, and we need your help doing that because many hands make light work. You can do that right now by calling 1-800-552-8502. Give us a little helping hand. You can also use our secure website, redriverradio.org. We're live right now with Pipp Gillette, but before, Pip, you play one more tune for us, we have to make sure we're legal beagle. Wally, will you give us the legal ID for tonight, please?
Oh, of course.
Or for this hour.
Indeed. And you are listening to the voice of the community, Red River Radio, a public radio service of LSUS. This is KLSA, Alexandria, Pineville, KBSA, El Dorado, Camden, Magnolia, KLDN, Lufkin, Nacogdoches, KTYK, Overton, Tyler, Kilgore, and KDAQ, Shreveport, Bossier City. And we also broadcast on translator K214CE at Grambling.
Now, if you're listening on any of those, donate now.
Amen. Amen. So call us, won't you? 1-800-552-8502. I heard one call come in. We need to hear from more of you right now. 1-800-552-8502.
Back to Pipp Gillette in the studio. Pip, you have another tune you'd like to play for us?
Yeah, this is a song written by a fellow from South Dakota. He came down and played at Camp Street one evening. He had a great show, and he did the song he wrote called Black Hills Gold. And I asked him after he was through, I said, would you mind if I sang that song and recorded it? And he said, no, the more the merrier. And so I've been doing it ever since. And this is Tom Peterson's song, and it goes like this. The news shot through Denver, Chicago, and St. Louis, up and down the East Coast, through the heart of Dixie too. And the story got bigger every time it got told, how the creeks and the rivers run yellow with Black Hills gold. They poured in by the hundreds to muddy Deadwood town. Some panned the streams, others dug for it in the ground. 'Twas a few got lucky, most only got old, and their hair grew silver, looking for Black Hills gold. I've never met an angel in this wicked old world. Closest I'll get is a Deadwood dance hall girl. I've never been to heaven, but sure I've been told all the harps and the halos are made of Black Hills gold. The sharps and the hustlers came to follow their trade, and a legion of soil doves to help them lead them astray. Upstairs in the parlors, all pleasure is sold for a pinch of dust, shiny with Black Hills gold. Flop houses and card rooms filled with desperate men, and a few lost souls found their way to the opium dens. First taste is heaven, but then the devil takes hold. Dreams of valleys of poppies, the color of Black Hills gold. I never met an angel in this wicked old world. Closest I'll get is a Deadwood dance hall girl. I've never been to heaven, but sure I've been told all the harps and the halos are made of Black Hills gold. Preacher climbed on a stump down in a dry river bend, gave out a sermon concerning revelation and a fiery end, prayed for salvation for the sheep in his fold. Lead us not into temptation, lead us to Black Hills gold. I never met an angel in this wicked old world. Closest I'll get is a Deadwood dance hall girl. I've never been to heaven, but sure I've been told all the harps and the halos are made of Black Hills gold. All the harps and the halos are made of Black Hills gold.
That's Black Hills Gold from Pipp Gillette with Lloyd Wright off his latest album. Pipp Gillette live in the studios, even though it sounds like maybe we were playing that from somewhere else. Pipp is a fantastic musician. He is live in studio right now. Pipp, now you have a couple of different items you played. We've played a song about a ghost cow and a song from 1788, back from Robert Burns' day, and a barn dance song, and then a Black Hills Gold song, really Americana stuff. Now, if you had to pick one artist or one instrument to play, could you do that?
Oh, one artist?
Well, yeah. Which one? If you had to narrow everything down,
That, wouldn't be possible.
I don't think so. It wouldn't be true, if that makes any sense. You wouldn't be able to have so many different types of cultures and societies in the lyrics that you're singing.
Well, that's one of the things that's great fun about cowboy music. Cowboy music, traditionally, I get the feeling most people, you say cowboy music and they think Roy Rogers and Gene Autry and Sons of the Pioneers, and they're thinking of the Hollywood cowboy music of the 30s and 40s. But the cowboy music, the real trail drive era, which was what most of us kind of focus on, the historical stuff, it starts, the fascinating thing to me is it starts right after the war between the states. We're driving cattle that, the conditions, terrible poverty, everything, the economy is destroyed. So they got these cattle that are worth nothing here in Texas, but if they can get them to the eastern markets, if they can get them to Chicago and New York, they're worth quite a bit more money. So they start doing these trail drives. Well, the trail drives and the cowboys on these drives are former slaves. You've got Irish guys, you've got Scottish guys, you've got Mexican guys, this mixed crew, and they're working together in a way that they'd never worked before. and suddenly they've got their time off. I mean, they're sitting around a chuck wagon and they tell stories and play songs, and everybody's drawing from their own backgrounds. And so you get this wonderful mix of things that are happening, which is the classic American melting pot, combination of musics, which makes American music so unique and special, because we steal from all of the other cultures. We borrow, and put it all together, and it's a fascinating moment in history. And I think it should always be considered a part of the major folk music, roots music period.
Now, Pipp, you said something that triggered my interest. You said cowboy music. Now, when you say cowboy music, you yourself aren't just an artist that plays in a cafe setting, in a musical setting in East Texas. You're not just that. You also have a kind of a day job too, right?
Yeah, I'm on my grandfather's ranch, still raising cattle, and he started in 1912. He was raising cotton and cattle, and that area, cotton started disappearing certainly into the 50s, and by basically into the later 50s, the cotton was pretty much gone, and cattle had completely taken over, and so I'm still on that place and still doing that. So it's nice that it ties in with your everyday life, and it's the music that comes out of that.
Well, and I think you definitely blessed us from having some of that music come out of you tonight, and I can definitely. I speak for many people listening right now that the authenticity coming from your voice and your fingers on those guitars, that's definitely, it comes through. It's like when you hear somebody smile on the phone and you can just hear it through there. But for you, for playing the music, you can definitely hear that you definitely have that scene set for us tonight.
Well, thank you.
You can find venues like that and like jazz in cities like New Orleans or Memphis or Dallas, and you can find other cities for blues, of course, the Chicago Delta, the Mississippi Delta blues. You can also hear songs and cities like that right outside of Houston. You can hear that.
And let's not leave Texas blues. Everybody says the blues was invented in the Mississippi Delta.
Oh, no. It's like barbecue, right? Well, there's different flavors each state.
But the first recorded star, guitar player, male vocalist, guitar player, self-accompanied, was Blind Lemon Jefferson. He was the biggest recording star there was, and everybody was listening to his records because they were the only records like that you could listen to. And all the guys in Mississippi said they were listening to and trying to play like Blind Lemon.
Of course.
And so, and then they'll turn around and say, but the blues started in the Mississippi Delta.
Right. Well, of course, it's like Mardi Gras. They say that it didn't start in New Orleans, and of course, they always try and claim it over there in Alabama. But, either way, just celebrate the culture of each city. Red River Radio is actually the club for all of those places, providing jazz 4 nights a week. Artists like Miles Davis and Glenn Miller and Diana Krall, all the way up to the new stuff too, which is what I love about Wally. He actually plays some of the newer jazz, right, Wally?
I do, indeed, I do, and gee, that's a song from one of Diana Krall's albums. Anyway,
yeah,
but yeah,
all the music without the travel. That's the cool part. We were just talking about Texas blues just a minute ago, Wally.
Sure.
And the cool thing about Red River Radio is you get to hear all those genres of music from all of those wonderful cities without traveling. You can take Red River Radio with you. Tune in anytime. It's the only place with all of those things without the travel bill.
Well, and not only that, Troy, but without the travel bill, but honestly, if you search and peruse the radio dial, whether it be AM or FM, outside of us, you have to travel. You would have to travel to the Dallas area, or New Orleans, and so actually, in Dallas would be closer, but still a long ways away to get any kind of jazz that you would hear on Red River Radio.
That's right. That's right. And we're talking world-renowned artists here. And, of course, a specialty in their field. And because of that, we're asking for your financial support today. It helps keep shows and songs and tunes and genres of music on the air. Your call to 1-800-552-8502 helps pay for all the programs you enjoy with the content in them. Your call, support, helps secure the future of programs like that, too, to help keep us on the air. We don't call it just a donation. We don't call it just a helping hand. We say you make an investment in something, and that is important to you. You pick out what it is, and you let us know. Hey, I like listening to the TED Talks, or hey, I like listening to Morning Edition, or hey, I like listening. We were joking in the staff meeting earlier, Wally, about going to sleep with Wally and waking up with Chuck.
Yeah.
So
okay.
You get to pick what you endorse and what you like about the station, and let us know what that is when you call in for your donation. 800-552-8502, or the website. Wally, do you remember it?
That would be redriverradio.org.
That's the one.
Did I win?
Yes. Yes,
Actually, I didn't win a thing.
You're
right.
you're actually winning right now because we have the special guest of Pipp Gillette in our studios, and I feel definitely that we're winning tonight by having his accompaniment tonight with us, and the fantastic live local music that he's playing, regional music technically because it's out of Texas, but we're going to definitely enjoy that. Pipp, you had a couple of items on the album that you told a couple of stories about. Is there? I think you've changed instruments on me. Have you? No, you're still on the guitar. Okay, all right. We're gonna go back to Pipp in just a second. Wally, I wanted to ask you. We had a special dinner sponsor tonight.
We did, and I want to say thanks to Porterhouse Steak and Seafood providing dinner tonight, and that's what area restaurants around Shreveport and Bossier City do. That's how they contribute to Red River Radio during these drives. And so when you patronize any of these places that provide lunch and or dinner, let them know that you appreciate the fact that they provided dinner for us during the drive.
You're listening right now to Red River Radio, your voice of the community. We actually have Pipp Gillette in studio right now, in our performance studio here in Shreveport, Louisiana. And Pipp, if you would grace us with another tune, please.
Sounds good. This is another song that Waddie Mitchell and I put together, and it goes like this. Contemporary good old days, as real as they all say. It's a sweater brow existence, a calloused hand bouquet. It's the work, it's the doing what needs done, it's the work. Been this way since time begun, fills our bellies and our minds, makes life better for mankind. 'Cause we get up out of bed and go to work. Bulls need moved and the heifers checked, all animals need fed. Town truck needs a starter, there's manure needing spread. Hay needs hauled and wood needs split, corrals ain't up to par. Frost-free frost, it's froze up, so we start from where we are. It's the work, it's the doing what needs done, it's the work. Been this way since time begun, fills our bellies and our minds, makes life better for mankind. 'Cause we get up out of bed and go to work. There's yearlings needing doctoring, there's trails needing trod, ice that's needing breaking, and there's horses needing shod. Grain that needs unloaded, there's dogs needing wormed. Cook says it's time to butcher, the ditches all need burned. It's the work, it's the doing what needs done, it's the work. Been this way since time begun, fills our bellies and our minds, makes life better for mankind. 'Cause we get up out of bed and go to work. Wearing ordinary work clothes over ordinary skin, feeling who you are becoming is to who you've always been. Is there reason for the toil? Is there reason for the stress? If you want to know for certain, you're gonna have to guess. It's the work, It's the doing what needs done, it's the work. Been this way since time begun. Fills our bellies and our minds, makes life better for mankind. 'Cause we get up out of bed and go to work. Contemporary good old days, as real as they all say. It's a sweat of brow existence, a calloused hand bouquet. It's the work, it's the doing what needs done, it's the work. Been this way since time begun. Fills our bellies and our minds, makes life better for mankind. 'Cause we get up out of bed and go to work.
Pipp Gillette here at Red River Radio's Performance Studio, live here on Red River Radio. You're not going to find this anywhere else in the radio dial. Pipp, what was the name of that piece?
That was The Work.
Gotcha. And hey, we have his latest release, Pipp Gillette with Lloyd Wright, and it's available for a $50 donation right now, or $50 and above, and you can get that in your hands. 1-800-552-8502 is the number to call. Call us now, 1-800-552-8502. Just as Pipp was ending that piece, we heard the phones ring, and hopefully that's another donation, and sure would like to hear from you tonight. And we are in the midst of the 2019 Spring Fund Drive, and day 4, actually, we're finishing up. And Pipp, I'm really happy that you're in the studio and providing good storytelling along with great music. Sure glad to have you here.
Well, thanks, Wally. It's good to be back. And again, I certainly couldn't appreciate and support Red River Radio any more than I can, and it's just extraordinary. Without it, I mean, really, what would we do? I mean, what would we do?
Right, absolutely. You're absolutely right. What would we do without? I mean, when you first started talking about an hour ago, you mentioned that it was not a good place to be back in 1983 around here because Red River Radio wasn't here yet. So call us now because we want to keep Red River Radio around, and we can only do it with your help. And you listening, you're the ones that do the heavy lifting for Red River Radio, and almost 2/3 of our operating budget comes from you, the listening audience. And again, we can't do it without you. Call us now, 1-800-552-8502. Pipp, what you got for us next?
Well, this is a song written by Steve Hartz, who lives and works in Nacogdoches, Texas. And Bob Murphy, the wonderful humorist and storyteller, Bob Murphy used to say that Nacogdoches was an old Indian word that meant it's a long walk to El Paso. Steve Hartz has a wonderful store right on the square in Nacogdoches. The old...
I'm not sure what that was.
But it was interesting. Anyway, he's got a great store, the old-time string shop there. He builds instruments, restores instruments, repairs instruments, and sells wonderful old-timey store with a great pot-bellied stove that he's got going in the winter, and it's just like stepping back into 1924 or something. So this is a song he wrote, and it's about a true story about the worst steamboat accident in Texas history. And when the steamboats used to go from Shreveport over to Jefferson and go up the Red River before the great, there was that timber, the whole, that raised the level of the river so that they could actually have steamboats. And when the government finally busted that up, the river went down and it was no longer accessible by steamboat. And this is a song about that. Oh, we left New Orleans so gaily in the winter of old '69. as the great side wheel spun in the bare icy sun, rolling north on the mid-east Stevens. And to think that we almost departed at Shreveport on the great muddy red. For her decks were so full, but she blew like a bull, plowing west on the mid-east Stevens. Oh, the crowd thronged round the great cabin, all bound for that fair Texas shore, till that cargo of hay and the gunpowder kegs struck their curse on the mid-east Stevens. It was twilight way up the cypress when that cargo it burst all aflame, and black waters did gleam like a strange deathly dream as we leapt from the mid-east Stevens. Now she lies in the deep, dark and murky, a haunt to the mudcat and gar, and dear ones they do weep for love lost in the deep, round the ghost of the mid-east Stevens, round the ghost of the mid-east Stevens.
Wow, that is just amazing, Pipp. We're so blessed to have you here in the studios, and thank you very much for all you do for Red River Radio. It's really an amazing thing. I wanted to share a message that we got. We actually got a gentleman named Brian Murphy from Connecticut. I don't know if you know a Brian Murphy up in Connecticut.
Well, maybe I do.
Right. He said he found you on YouTube. And he found you doing a couple of different renditions on YouTube, and was blown away at what he had heard. And he's been an avid listener ever since. And he asks if you would talk just a little bit about one of your previous albums that you did. It was back in, I think it was back in 2012 when you released that album.
He didn't happen to name that album, did he?
He did, but I wanted you to kind of address it. It's the one you did with your brother.
Was it Cowboys, Minstrels, and Medicine Shows by any chance?
No, it was about Days and Nights.
Leaving Cheyenne?
No, Days and Nights.
Okay, Small Town Days and Nights.
That's the one.
Okay, well that actually was recorded in it came out in 1980, and that was actually a vinyl LP when it came out. And we finally reissued it, remastered it and did it in the CD format a few years ago. And that was recorded, like I say, 79, and it came out in 80, and we recorded that with a number of wonderful musicians. Billy Vera produced it. I don't know if you're familiar with Billy Vera. He moved out to California and had a big hit with, oh gosh, what was that song called? What would At This Moment, maybe is it called? It was became a hit because of a TV show that used it all the time, and I don't know any.
I forget. I know the song, but.
I'm a wealth of misinformation.
Yeah, pretty much.
Anyway,
same here.
But Billy produced and played on it. Tom T-Bone.
Billy Vera and the Beaters.
Yes.
That's right. Yeah, okay.
Right. Yeah, and he was based in New York at the time, New York area, and we were too at that time. My mother's family was from Lovelady in Crockett area, and then my father was from Minnesota originally, but they met in New York going to fashion. She was going to fashion design school. He was studying acting. And anyway, when they got married, we came down to summer in Texas with my grandparents and work on the ranch and be here. So we kind of always claim dual citizenship. But Tom T-Bone Wolk, he played on it as well. He was an old friend from high school. He worked later for years with Hall & Oates. He did their whole sort of hit period. He was a bass player on Saturday Night Live for a long time with G.E. Smith. He did a lot of session work, and he's on that record. Cat McCord, Billy's sister, sang on it some, and some great horn players, Richard Grando, Joey Stan, Scott Cutler. Charles Otis played on it. He was originally from New Orleans, Charles Honeyboy Otis. He had left New Orleans with the Dixie Cups. They went up to New York and they recorded, do you remember Go Into the Chapel?
Yeah.
And the Iko, the Dixie Cups version?
Yes, yeah.
And all that percussion stuff, you know, your grandma and my grandma, that's Charles Otis. And he did a lot of session work while he was in the New York area. He worked with Lieber and Stoller, and he played with us for a number of years, and that was great fun. He's on that record, and so it's a very band thing, you know, and we were kind of, it's all original tunes, but some of it has a countryer feel, and some of it has sort of a New Orleans-y 50s feel, and some of it's just kind of all the influences, you know.
We got another comment from a gentleman named Bob Florence from East Texas. He said he's been listening to you play even back when your brother was playing with you, and Red River Radio is lucky to have you on the air, and I definitely concur.
Well, that's very nice. I sure appreciate that.
No problem. Our pleasure. You're listening to Red River Radio, the voice of the community. Right now we're in our spring pledge drive. I'm Troy Jones. I'm the engineer here at Red River Radio. It's all hands on deck when we have a pledge drive. Like Wally, sometimes it's a couple of hands on deck, not just 2 or 3. It's every one you got.
That's right.
And they picked me, scarily enough.
You got the short straw,
right? But actually, I don't think I did. I got, like I said, I got the benefit of coming in and working for a great group of people that help communities locally where they broadcast from. They broadcast live music. We broadcast live music. We actually had Zydeco Band in here. We had Buddy Flett on last night. If you missed that out, that's on our YouTube page as well, our YouTube channel. You can watch that. And Red River Radio is really about a lot of things in the community. You know, sometimes the best part of driving in to work or running a few errands, because I mean, I don't run laps, right, Wally?
Yeah.
Or even getting to sit down
here
at your desk is tuning into the radio or listening on the app on your phone. Red River Radio makes riding in the car or finishing up those tasks completely a different experience. It puts you in the mood. It sets the mood for you. And if you talk about a commute or in an afternoon or if you're in an evening without public radio, if you're not caught up on the news, if you don't have that content that it sounds absolutely dreadful to you, well, then volunteer a contribution in any amount. Take a few minutes for Red River Radio now if you're listening, and our product helps you throughout your day. It'll help pay for those little priceless moments of radio relief that we call radio relief later on. We call them driveway moments here. Wally, have you ever been listening to something on the radio here and you just stopped right where you are, or perhaps gotten to your destination but stayed in the car behind the steering wheel for just a second?
Yeah, a couple times.
Yeah.
At least a couple of times.
I do it mainly because I'm out of breath or I'm from screaming and driving, and especially going from Bossier to Shreveport and back. Sometimes I'm just out of breath and I need to catch up. I need a minute, as they say nowadays. But the driveway moments that we talk about are little special parts, like when you're listening to mountain music, or you're listening to a TED Talk, or you're listening to one of our great products or shows that we have here, like Wait, Wait, Don't Tell Me, or something that made you giggle and change your mood. How much would that be worth to you?
Well, it's priceless because you hear it and then it's gone.
That's right. That's the beauty of it being live. So, we say it's in your hands, right, Wally?
Absolutely. And if it's in your hands and you can control it and you can help us out right now and control what you listen to by calling 1-800-552-8502, and you're driving the car, if you will. Without your financial help, we can't be here. And that's why it's so important for you to phone in right now with your donation. A couple people have. I just want to say thanks to a listener that wants to remain anonymous from Kilgore, Texas, and says likes Blues After Midnight and Live from Here, also American Roots and all the other Saturday night programming. And we also heard from Wallace Robertson from Shreveport as well. And thank you both for calling in. We need more of you to call in right now, and that number to call 1-800-552-8502 and pick up Pipp's new release, and Pipp Gillette with Lloyd Wright, and he's been playing songs from it tonight, and it can be yours for a minimum of a $50 donation or more. And pick one of these up, and you'll be glad you did. It's great music.
You know, I'll challenge you right now. Pipp is obviously from Texas. At least that's where he resides at this time. If you're in Texas and you're listening, we challenge you. You know, we've gotten a couple of donations from Shreveport-Bossier, some from Alexandria, some from El Dorado today. I definitely want to hear from those East Texas folks that definitely make Red River Radio part of their daily activities, especially ones that support music like Pipp plays with us. You can pick up his album really easy. It's Pipp Gillette with Lloyd Wright, and I think he's going to play something else for us right now.
Well, this is a song that my brother wrote, Guy, and it's about Lovelady, Texas, which is the town that we live outside of, between Lovelady and Crockett. And Lovelady is a railroad town, and as kids we used to enjoy riding horseback all around the town. My grandmother had a little general store, and we would kind of use that as our base of operations. You know, you go in there and get a cold watermelon or a Dr. Pepper or a grape Ed or a Delaware Punch. And it was right opposite the Missouri Pacific Railroad depot, and we used to like to sit over at the depot and watch things going on. It was the center, the hub of activity in Lovelady, you know, and wait for a train to come along and put a penny on the track maybe, and then you hear the train coming, and the crossing lights would start flashing, and the crossing bells would start flashing and ringing, and suddenly the train, you hear it getting closer and closer, and then it comes roaring by you, and you had to hold on to your hat, and the dust is flying, and they would take the outgoing mail would be snapped off that little
the little hook, yeah,
and they'd throw the big heavy canvas sack of the incoming mail out there on the roadbed gravel, you know, and roar by you, and then it was gone, and the bells would stop ringing, and the lights would stop flashing. And we always suffered from post-train depression, you know. It was, but we were sitting there one day, and this pickup truck pulled up, and they had those side panels on the back of the truck, you know, like they used to do. And folks would load cattle and horses right in the pickup truck, bed of the pickup. And this truck pulls up, and these three cowboys jump out of the cab, and they run off down the track trying to catch this train that was leaving this station. Two taller fellows and a shorter cowboy, and they weren't making real good time with their boots and spurs and that heavy roadbed gravel, but they were giving it all they got, and so finally the two taller fellows caught onto the train, and they were gone. The shorter fellow was walking back to the station, and the station master said to him, "Well, at least your two friends made it." He said, "Well, the thing of it is they just came down to see me off." So this is a song about Lovelady, Texas in the late 40s and early 50s. It goes like this. Simmons spur out, jump and shout, asking Gertie what it's all about. Hoyt and Lucy gone to town, won't get home till the sun gone down. Summer day on a dusty road, pickup truck with a heavy load. Small town life by the railroad track. Thank you, ma'am, and you all come back. Feed stove smells envelop you. In the back they're playing 42, a wagon hitched out in the shade, team of mules and they got it made. Screen door slams on a country store, everything you need and more. A silver watch and a favorite line. Doodleroo's got railroad time. Young gal skipping across a sandy street. You gotta keep moving or you burn your feet. General store by the railroad track. Big old fan blowing in the back. Dinner time, it comes at noon. 11:30, we'll be eating soon. Then up on a table on a stack of jeans. Cool place to nap and dream your dream. Small town life by the railroad track. Thank you, ma'am, and you all come back. Feed stove smells envelop you. In the back they're playing 42. A wagon hitched out in the shade. Team of mules and they got it made. Simmons parade, jump and shout. Ask Gertie what it's all about. Hoyt and Lucy gone to town. Won't get home till the sun gone down. Summer day on a dusty road. Pickup truck with a heavy load.
You're listening to Red River Radio, the voice of the community. That was Pipp Gillette live in our performance space right now. If that music gave you a memory, if that sparked a memory in your life, if the story he was telling about a small town in East Texas, kind of Middle Texas, really, right, Pipp?
Well, it's Central East Texas.
Central East Texas. If it sparked a memory of having a couple of ice-cold RC colas, or perhaps one of the grapettes, or having a railroad track where you put a penny on it, if that sparked a memory for you, then you just had a driveway moment. You just had something that impacted your life that you heard live on radio. And you may have watched it on YouTube. You may be watching this later on in the future. If it gave you one instance of a memory, if it gave you one emotion, call now, 1-800-552-8502. It's very rare that you get live local music or regional music like Pipp Gillette live in the studio. And we bring that to you here at Red River Radio, but we can't do it without charge. We say it's not free, right, Wally?
Absolutely, it's not free. And think about going to a coffee house and getting some coffee, and then and then walking out and without paying for it. And the
I tried that today at Rhino Coffee locally, Wally. They don't like that.
And no, not too many people do.
No.
And so it's the same thing. Only you're on the honor system here at Red River Radio, and we trust that you will provide the necessary funds for us to keep going with the programming here at Red River Radio. And so you can call right now, and we just heard a phone call, and hopefully that's a donation. We need to hear more of you. Call in 1-800-552-8502. And I got to bring this up. Troy and Pip, you teased me earlier about a
He's got him in his hand, Wally.
Oh man, cool!
I'm so excited right now. I really am. This is neat for me.
All right. Well, hey, without any further ado, just Pip, what you got for us?
Well, my brother got me started doing this. He started playing the bones many years ago, and he was very good at it. I'm trying to keep the tradition going. These are the rib bones of a gray Bramer cow we used to own that was kind of an aggressive cow. You could cut her out of the lot, and while you were focused on the other cattle, she'd come back into the lot to try to run you up the side of it. And
I dated a woman like that one time, Pip.
there you go. So
I don't want to hear about it.
So we've always thought we got along better with her now than we used to. But the bones are considered the oldest rhythm instrument known to man. They were found, an Egyptian archaeologist found Egyptian vases with people playing the bones on the side of the vases, and William Shakespeare mentions the bones in A Midsummer Night's Dreams. The Irish have used them for years. They came over here. They were played on plantations. They were part of the minstrel shows. One of the end men was Mr. Bones. The other end man played tambourine. He was Mr. Tambo. And they would carry on conversations with the master of ceremonies or the interlocutor, who might say something like, well, how are you feeling tonight, Mr. Bones? And he might say, I feel just like pulverized pepper. And he'd say, pulverized pepper, how's that? And he'd say, fine. Anyway, I opened a show for Sonny Terry and Brownie McGee many years ago, my brother and I. And Sonny played harmonica, of course, and his nephew played bones, J.C. Burris, and so we put this together and kind of called it Sonny and J.C. I just wanted to say that probably everybody listening has heard the Bones, one of the most famous big hit records. I think it came out in '49, but it was used in the '50s for the film about the Harlem Globetrotters, and it's that whistling version of Sweet Georgia Brown, recorded by Freeman Davis, who was known as Brother Bones, and that song has been used for a lot of basketball games and theme songs and during half times and stuff. So if you've heard that, that's what you're hearing, is Freeman Davis playing the Bones. So here we go with Sonny and J.C. And this may be my farewell moment here. We're getting close to the end.
We're coming close to it.
So if I can, I'd like to invite everybody out to the Camp Street Cafe. Look at our schedule on our website, campstreetcafe.com, all spelled out. We have a variety. We've had Cajun music, we've had Irish music, we've had blues, we've had cowboy music, we try to really have a variety of things. We've had authors come and read from their books and talk about them, and we've had just all kinds of things. So indeed, check it out, campstreetcafe.com. And again, I'd appreciate you all having me, and I hope that we did some good here. So I'll take it out with Sonny and J.C.
That is Mr. Pipp Gillette, live in the Red River Radio Performance Studios. Pipp, thank you very much. Playing the bones and the harmonica all at once. I don't know how you managed to do both at the same time. That's definitely talent. I can't believe you spent your evening with us tonight. We were truly blessed to have your talent in the studios tonight. Thank you very much. And again, if you want to find out more about Pipp Gillette or check out his album, you can go to campstreetcafe.com. You can pick that up. You can also make your donation tonight of $50 or more for just a few more minutes, actually seconds at this point, right, Wally?
Pretty much. I want to give a shout out to a couple of people that phoned in with a donation, and want to say thanks to Bernard and Catherine Highlands from Lufkin, Texas, and they're an English couple. They're an English couple from Lufkin who are big fans, and they want to pick up your CD, Pipp.
Great. Haven't seen them in a while. Glad they're well.
And so thank you, Bernard and Catherine, for phoning in, and now and through the overnight. And I just want to say thanks again, Pipp, for being here. And boy, you provided good stories and great music tonight.
Well, thank you very much. My pleasure.
And I got to do some FCC work, and then we'll get into top of the hour news. And you're listening to the Voice of the Community, Red River Radio, a public radio service of LSUS. And this is KDAQ, Shreveport Bossier City at 89.9 FM, KLSA, Alexandria Pineville at 90.7, KBSA, El Dorado Camden Magnolia at 90.9, KLDN Lufkin Nacogdoches at 88.9, and KTYK Overton Tyler Kilgore at 100.7 FM.
Live from NPR News in Washington, I'm Shay Stevens. The U.S. Senate has joined the House in voting to block President Trump's national emergency declaration to secure money for his promised border wall. Minority Leader Chuck Schumer is praising the 12 Republicans who joined Democrats in rebuking Trump.
Republicans, out of courage, out of principle, and maybe out of exasperation, are beginning to constrain the president when he goes too far.
Only one of the 12 Republican senators opposing the emergency declaration will face re-election next year, and Congress lacks enough votes to override Trump's threatened veto. Rescuers are trying to ensure that no one is trapped inside vehicles stranded by the so-called bomb cyclone that hit eastern Colorado. Natalia Navarro of Colorado Public Radio reports that the governor's declared state of emergency and deployed the National Guard.
Julie Winter was stranded on a highway in El Paso County for more than 13 hours.